When localizers constantly push their own political propaganda into the pieces of content they're supposed to be working on, yeah, I'm not going to be sitting here sympathizing them when they lose their jobs. And that is exactly what is happening right now because Crunchyroll is going through a ton of layoffs. And recently there was a big AI blunder controversy where we found out that localizers are actively being replaced by ChatGPT. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, typically, I do fight for real human beings getting jobs. I don't like the idea of AI replacing people. I think that it is an okay tool to be used in moderation, but it shouldn't be a full-on replacement. Though, when it comes to localizers, it really is hard for me to sympathize with them. Over the years, they have taken some amazing pieces of content and completely butchered them so they can push their own personal political ideology into this content. And then, of course, they feel high and mighty. They feel like they've got the power. They feel like they're untouchable. And then they do it to several projects. And now it seems that they're getting a little bit of what they deserve. And lots of people at Crunchyroll right now are going through a tough time because Sony's Crunchyroll is making layoffs as it restructures to lean into international growth markets. So it says Crunchyroll, Sony's anime streaming service, is laying off a number of employees as part of a restructuring to shift resources towards higher growth markets outside of the US. The scope of Crunchyroll's layoffs could not be determined. Crunchyroll's president announced the news in a memo to staffers that was obtained by Variety. The business has more than 1,000 employees but has not disclosed an exact headcount number. And from what we had heard through the grapevine on social media, they wanted to lay off about roughly 75 employees, which is still a chunk of change when you only have 1,000. Now, that number is not confirmed, so of course take it with a grain of salt, but that's still quite a few people. Crunchyroll is making the changes to increase its focus on fast-growing markets such as India, Brazil, Mexico, Europe, and Southeast Asia, which means they're going to, in the future, I'm sure, hire new individuals that are in these markets to give feedback and obviously, in some cases, to more accurately translate or localize. Now, over the years, right, Crunchyroll has went through a lot of controversy with their decisions to force censorship upon certain content with the localizers that they hire and work with, but also because Sony does have a bit of a Western anime monopoly. They do still have some competition like Netflix, they do still have some competition like High Dive, but Sony definitely is the behemoth right now, and they keep scooping up all of these companies and entities because they want to continue to, control as much as possible. But not even last month, Crunchyroll's AI blunder controversy arose, and localizers were being replaced by ChatGPT. So Crunchyroll subtitles had included a ChatGPT prompt exposing their use of AI and sparking outrage, which, yes, I do understand that it is outrageous that living human beings are being replaced by AI, but you can't trust anybody in this situation. Of course, AI has to follow certain frameworks, and so it can push the same political propaganda that a localizer can, but localizers, in my opinion, are still worse about that because they will be completely inaccurate in their work if it means it fits their narrative. They take it upon themselves to change work because they think that it could be offensive and it could harm sensitive individuals out there. Now, it says this blunder ties into broader issues of American localizers facing backlash for woke or inaccurate translations, pushing Japanese companies forward to AI solutions. And I think that these Japanese companies are also to blame because they never should have hired these people in the first place, or as soon as these people started taking these creative measures upon themselves and thinking it was okay to change work, they should have gotten fired, and these companies basically should have blacklisted them, saying you don't respect our work, you don't respect other creatives, and so we are not going to respect your wallet and we are not going to pay you. So I think it's a little bit of everybody's fault at this point, but I can't say I feel particularly bad that Crunchyroll is going through such a tough time now when they have enabled this behavior for so many years. I mean, I could go go on and on about how bad localizers are, whether they are with other companies or with Crunchyroll. I mean, I've made so many videos like this in the past. We'll go through just a handful of examples of localizers being garbage human beings. Viz Media, English localizer rewrites dialogue in Sidcraft Love is a Mystery to insert modern slang. Netflix localizers rewrite Blue Box, English script sees character complimented for being feminist instead of feminine. Western localizer proudly brags about butchering Sentai Filmworks English localization of 2.5 Dimensional Seduction, which this really irks me when, of course, they change a product, but then they brag about it and they say that they are doing this big, amazing, positive for society. They are helping fix society almost. English localizer claims My Dear Friend Nokatan subtitle controversy is an example of why we need to educate Japanese companies on what good localization looks like, which is so hilarious to me because these people are putting out bottom of the barrel content. They wouldn't know what good localization looked like if it slapped them in the face. Capcom, of course, attempted to run PR for Western localizers last year, praising their in-house team for keeping games culturally sensitive and promoting inclusivity through language and representation, which of course is absurd. And when it boils down to Eastern versus Western entertainment, or if we look at Japanese entertainment, the reason why their JRPGs and their video games and their manga and their anime got so popular in places like North America, for example, is because it was unique, it was fun, it was different, it was creative, and we're not really getting that anymore. We're seeing everything being dumbed down for global audiences, and everything has to be culturally sensitive now, so there's no content that's really pushing the limits anymore, and it's just so sad to see. So I'll definitely be keeping my eye on this situation going forward, but over the past couple of months, Crunchyroll's definitely been going through a bit of a tough time. They're trying to spin this round of layoffs as a positive because, oh, they're restructuring to lean into international growth markets. But if they were so well off, they wouldn't be laying off anybody and they wouldn't need to actually go through this restructure. They would just add on other different branches to their company and different teams to their company. But we're hearing that all of these layoffs are going on, and we're also hearing that apparently localizers are going through a very tough time because they're being replaced by AI. And I don't really feel bad for Crunchyroll. I don't really feel bad for these localizers, and I know I'm a little bit doom and gloom, but if things don't massively change over the next couple of months, we're going to see the death of anime. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this and found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.